So, hi, you guys doing? Manny back again. Interesting weekend. We have two very different concerts or performances. On Saturday, I did a jazz concert. Charles McPherson played at Lafayette Hotel in Lose Lou, new venue, beautiful location. Charles is just a world-renowned saxophonist. Yeah, it was a great location, wonderful time. I got there early for sound check so I could see what the place was like and shoot a lot of stuff because I knew that I was going to be very limited in what I could do during the performance because you don't want to get in front of everybody and people for too long, and so I knew I had to be off to the side or in the back or something. So I wanted to be able to get a lot of cool stuff, which I think I did. I got some interesting stuff then preparing for the performance and stuff, a lot of behind the scenes action from there, and the performance was great. It was great. It's kind of like a little difficult lighting situation because it had a five-piece band and it had a piano, and so the piano couldn't fit on stage, so it was in front of the stage, and Charles and the trumpet player Gilbert Castellanos were in the front of the stage, and the bass player and the drummer were on the back on the stage. Anyway, so the lighting in front of the stage was not great. The lighting was all set up for the stage and not just in front of the stage. So, but there was enough. There were some spotlights. They had to put up some spots and it worked. Just a little difficult, but it was good, a little contrasty. But you have to deal with that kind of thing sometimes. And then on Sunday, I was at the Tower Bar here in San Diego. It's kind of like a punk bar, and yeah, the punk performance. I photographed Poised in the Darkness, a band that been around for a little while, and a friend of mine is the drummer there, so I went there to photograph them. A lot of fun, totally different kind of atmosphere. I got there a little early too, not that much early, but I wanted to make sure I knew that it was going to be small, and so it was a very small location, very small venue. So, I basically ended up using most of the time was like my 10 to 24 on my D90. I didn't even take my D600. Just pretty much stayed with that lens and the 35 to 70 to 8, and use those two lenses the majority of the night, or all night really. Then yeah, it was great. It was great, very different. Make sure I took some earplugs on this one because going to be loud. I already have some tinnitus. Don't want to deal with that too much more. So always, if you're covering a loud performance like that, make sure you get yourself some earplugs, and just be ready for anything. It's like you just kind of have to deal with what you got. Again, I didn't want to shoot with a flash. You can't really shoot with a flash because you just disturb the performance. So you need to be able to handle the low light situation. So there it was very low light. I was like probably like a hundredth of a second, but luckily some things it was hard to focus. But I think I got a lot of good shots. I think the band seemed to like them. So Charles, that lighting then for the jazz is a little bit better. At least I was up at like a 250th, I think, ISO 1600. Both of them were like ISO 1600. Use a little noise reduction in Lightroom. But yeah, I think everything came out great. It's fun to shoot bands. If you haven't done it, you should give it a try. It's a lot of fun. It's different, very different. Like again, you kind of want to keep moving around. You don't want to stand in front of the band too much because people are trying to watch the performance, and you really don't want to disturb them watching the performance. For Charles, which is a little more formal setup, I was dressed completely in black pants, black shirt, because that's generally kind of tradition when you're photographing in a live event like that, because you don't want to be a distraction. So that's real important. If you do not want to be a distraction, people are paying to get in a lot of money, and so you don't want to get in the way too often. And so there, I was trying not to make sure I wasn't in anybody's way, standing in front of or behind pillars and stuff like that, so that I could shoot and not cover anybody's view. So that's real important. For the punk band, cause again, I still just kind of walked around back and forth up the line, not staying one spot too long, just simply because I didn't want to interrupt the people that are paid to get in to watch the performance. So yeah, so that's always a good thing to kind of watch out for. Before I go, I wanted to share a couple little things. I bought some new lenses. I bought a Nikkor 55 millimeter macro. So this is it here. Bought it used off B&H. Great little lens. Haven't really shot with it yet. But I really enjoy doing a lot of still life, so I'm going to be using this real soon. And then I got a 20 millimeter Nikkor. This is autofocus. The other one's manual. Autofocus 20 millimeter. Um, and because I really just like wide angle lenses when I'm out shooting. I use wide angle lenses a lot. So yeah, so I went ahead and bought those two because the 28 just kind of wasn't. It was nice. It's a good lens. I just wasn't quite wide enough for me for the D600. So I purchased those two lenses. Again, both of them are about $100. Um, I try not to spend too much money. I'm not really going to looking at buying anything else. I might, maybe might buy like either a 135 or a 180. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be doing like if I'm doing some more. If I do some more band stuff, I might buy a little bit longer lens, like a 135 or a 180, just so I can kind of get there from the back, the room and stuff. So, but I'm gonna wait on that and see how it goes, and decide later. But yeah, so yeah, I'm already my lens collection is already growing. It's kind of like it happens, but that's photography. What are you gonna do? It's gas syndrome, gear acquisition syndrome. I've always kind of had that. I've tried to keep it to a minimum, but I always end up getting a few knickknacks here and there. So, well, thank you very much for watching. Appreciate it. Take care, all. Bye bye.